welcome back to another Love Soul Movement podcast. We are here with Stephanie Mack with Cosmic Feels. She's going to be episode 4 in the Strength in Women series. And Stephanie is very near and dear to my heart. She's a sister from another mister.
Literally. Our moms have the same birthdays.
Yeah, like we were literally meant to meet each other in this life. Yeah. And so and she's got an amazing story to tell, but let me tell you about her really quick. So Stephanie is an intuitive crystal jeweler who's passionate about feelings and the healing gems we receive from processing them. Stephanie is an advocate for authentic connections and honest conversations that will help all of us break free from the stigma of being human. Hi, lovely.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad because Steph and I have been talking about doing a podcast together for a good year now.
A long time.
Yeah. And we knew that it had to be the right time. Like there was absolutely no way that we could have done this any of the other
times. There was no rushing this. This was like the seed is planted. We would water it with ideas and meeting back up to talking about doing it and everything else. And it just unrolls like when it's right on time.
Yeah. And it really has grown too into something so much bigger than what you and I originally imagined. So that's a huge blessing behind it.
I know, it's so great.
Yeah. So Steph has a very interesting story to tell, and she's a really special person because she's been through a lot in her very young, 31 years?
31. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's very wise. And so she's a conduit that's what I like to call her, with the crystal jewelry that she makes. She literally heals people with this jewelry that she hand makes, and it's beautiful. I'm actually wearing a piece. I know she's got tons of her babies on, got a ring on. I think like every day I probably have a piece of your jewelry on. So what's the story of you connecting your relationship with crystals? Because it's incredibly special.
So for me, crystals is really natural because my mom, she collected crystals as a little girl. And so I was just kind of raised with like, oh, when you once in a while, if you're somewhere that sells crystals, like, ooh, we've got to look at these and get some. So, it was just kind of normal. But then in 2012, I had a near-death experience, and I was completely, I guess what you would say, have a life review. So my life, there's just like a lot of contrast where it's just like, I loved who I was before. I really did. And I was thinking about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that girl was so confident. She was just so free spirited. But I can see how my life like led up though to being woken up. Cause like my spiritual journey, it was not like it was just a forced to be awakened with.
It was chosen for you, kind of.
Yeah, it was so chosen for me.
Yeah.
So I was in a car accident, and I was put into an induced coma. And when I woke up, I had learned that my leg was amputated, and I was pretty much injured from head to toe. So the contrast of before, like I said, just like a free spirited, like party girl, just like, I want to have fun, like living the, see, I can just feel it. That was so my spirit that like, it was just, I want to have fun. And so it was like this like life review where it was like, oh my God, no, I'm above here. I'm up here, and I'm looking down there at me. I'm looking at everybody, because I had to be taken to, trauma hospital, like ASAP, just those severe type cases. And
like she almost died.
And I'm like, what was that?
She almost died kind of thing.
Oh, no, literally. Like I was up watching them try to save my life.
Yeah.
And so
that's crazy.
And just puts me back to, it was just so much putting back together too, just everywhere. So so I like the judgment or whatever type feeling it was just like, I have to go back, and I have to like do everything different, you know, like I was set up good. I was set up to do it all right as well. I got like so passionate in college, and I was just like so motivated. It really was like post-traumatic growth after my accident. It was just like, and I realized today, I was like, honestly, the love and support that I got from everybody. I had like people like flying in to see me. I had like, my room was just full. It was full like a garden and building. Like I had people driving from across the country to see me. Like, looking back, like then I just was like, oh my God, like just, you feel so supported. And I mean, no, there's trials, there's tribulation, you know, I had to work, you know, all that. But yeah, I just want to point that out though, because I processed, like I noticed that too. I'm like, man, I always like remember it's like was like a hard awakening, you know, that I didn't realize I was having back then. So this is 2012.
Yeah.
You know, I was 22 for a month, and then this accident happened. And so
wow.
Like I said, I was forced to awaken just on this like different, where I was like, what matters in life. And so I became passionate in college with like my business organization and a lot of volunteer work. And I was, so right after my accident, bring it back to crystals, which is great because it's all intertwined, right? It's all a big story. It's all,
yeah.
But yeah, so I went to Barnes and Noble's, like in a wheelchair, just like, because I had to like wait to get a leg built, you know. So I had like my time of getting back into the world after like being hospitalized for like, I mean, over, you know, a while. And then physical therapy, and then now you can get the leg, you know. So I was just like, remember wheeling to Barnes and Noble with like one of my gift cards I got from somebody, and I bought like a Buddha book, and I bought a meditation book. And it's just hilarious because if you look back then, I mean, you just wouldn't have thought this girl was thinking that, you know what I mean? Like it was all just kind of like instantly downloaded of like what to do. Like, so I got this book.
Oh my gosh, I know that feeling exactly. That was the exact same feeling that I got that day that I picked up my first tarot deck. It was just like, that's just what I was supposed to like. What? Yeah.
And so it's funny because I picked up my first decks years ago in college, while I never even used them until like recent years, which is so funny because you pick up things for your future self, even, you know, where it's like, I'm picking this up at this store here. It's a great deal on this new deck.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to even touch it for some years, but it's going to be there when I'm ready for it. But, yeah, so I just knew meditation was the first thing to do. And I was just doing so much journaling, and the meditation, it was like, oh, crystals and meditation. Okay. So that came full circle. And so then crystals dove me deeper than into astrology, because it was like, what energies are behind these crystals? And it just, everything pretty much unlocked, like from my accident, where it was just like, I went back. And
do you have like those memory jumps where like you're doing something today and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is so connected to like whatever happened 6 years ago, but now you can see the hindsight? Like,
yeah, that's what I was meaning about, even just like picking up a tarot deck that I am not gonna even put away, and then like, oh my gosh, now I'm using this.
Yeah.
Or also I find too, like I'll have written things. That's why I like to write a lot. And even sometimes I'm like, oh, this is like, right now my goal is to just like journal to myself like twice a day, and it just let it float. Even they're just little, like a couple sentences. But it's like, I will look back on like my old ones and be like, oh my God, like I'm totally writing to me right now at this moment.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, that. Oh my God, I left
had a whole blog
for myself.
Yeah, I had a whole.
So it's really,
if it's still even open, I don't even remember. I'll have to see. That's like, it's like a time capsule too. That's cool.
Yeah, totally.
So, when did you begin to realize that you wanted to make jewelry?
Yeah, so that's why my college experience is so, and just can feel like my womb spinning because like it was so aligned because it was meant to be, you know, because
Yeah.
I was like a marketing major, which like that's really not a like, oh my gosh, aligned with like holistic type, you know what I mean?
Oh, right.
And I just, well, I was already the hippie one in business, you know, and I'm doing everybody's birth charts. I'm figuring everybody out. You know, my Scorpio rising is like, oh my God. Like,
I bet they loved it.
Out. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you can do mine too. Yeah, you could do mine. Like everybody wants to hear about themselves, which is because it's a tool, you know? Yeah. So it was like free studying of
I love astrology. It just frees everybody. It just gives everybody freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I'm already like a pretty craftsy person anyways. I like also made jewelry when I was young. That's another just like full circle. Like me and my mom, like my mom definitely like, it's just cool because even now, you know, she's like, she loves my jewelry. And she, even when I would like order my rocks, and she was like one of my first, you know, she'd go buy me rocks like to wrap and stuff like that. So, yeah, just a lot of gratitude and love for her. But I just had them and I just wanted to wrap them for myself, and I just liked it. I was just instantly like wanted to do it. And so then I would wear them, and then that I was in college, and like I said, business major, and I'm very entrepreneurial. Like that was my business organization, you know. And so I was like, my one crystal lady that I had down there, she was like, oh, if you want to sell those, just wear them. People are going to want to buy those up. And that is exactly pretty much what happened. But what was great was that it was with like the people I was in contact with, you know, it was just like natural growth of like, it was like when my girlfriend was like the first, she was like, oh, I need all these, you know, and my prices were so cheap then, especially because I was just starting out, that she was just like, yeah,
like $5
for one of those. It was like $12 was like my starting price. Yeah, no, it wasn't too, but I mean, just saying like, as far as like, you know, I say that because I always give free crystal gifts and stuff. And like back then, like the crystals I was buying for people though, and I was making free keychains. Like I was giving like geode type slices and stuff. Like
wow.
I was giving, like
wow.
And it was just, but it was so heartfelt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, just as far as like, yeah, I just was really doing it from heart space, but I still do. If you shop with me, you know that. Like, I shop for everybody.
Every single time you get like an extra special little gift, and there's an intuitive rock pull, or
I was going to say intuitively drawn crystals.
Yeah, and we bury them or wherever. I was thinking about. I saved up a few and then took it all on the road when I drove up to Oregon. So yeah, there was a lot of anchoring of the light on that trip for sure.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking about that. I did that too. I was like, oh my gosh, like in 2020, there was like 4 months where I was just sending out. I know I had to have sent over like 70 crystals out that I was like, please just like with loving intention, bury this on Mother Earth, just like return her to Earth. I don't know. I always feel called to give, and just kind of.
You feel very connected to Mother Earth as well.
Yes. And crystals. And crystals. Well, so yeah, and I was going to say crystals, you know, they're from so deep within the earth that it's just like, you know, the vibration so beautiful. But so Mother Earth, I would say how I got the closest with Mother Earth is doing womb work. I mean,
and truly. That's really good for people who have had sexual trauma. It's good for any woman to do womb work.
Any woman and anybody who's been like disempowered through their womb essentially as well. Like, I mean, I just think every single woman should like love their womb, you know, like periods have been made to be like, oh, I hate them they're miserable, and you know, they're just, you hide them, and
and it's funny because I'm from the generation that like the last generation that sort of had that kind of feeling about the period, because everything evolved so much, like with millennials and so, but I even still like, it's not that I'm uncomfortable talking about it, because I don't get really uncomfortable talking about anything. I'm just like, I've been getting my period for 30 years now, and I've had 3 babies, and like I almost died having one of them. I'm like, I'm kind of done with the whole idea of it. But I understand, like I understand the connection and making it easier. Oh,
oops, I'm receiving
that's
a call.
okay. That's fine.
Let me see. It should just let
It'll
us
pop. It popped.
yeah. Okay, cool.
But I'm fascinated with it too at the same time, just because, like, I mean, I know that I just didn't really have a close relationship with my womb growing up, and I just kind of was like, you're just sort of obnoxious once a month and moving on with my life kind of thing. But I love your story about it too, like how, because I mean, you opened up my eyes to a lot of things about.
It's one of those things where it's like, how deep are people ready to get on it? Because I'm just like a full-on enthusiast of, but like that really truly is like with the crystals. I felt the next really big involvement for sure. And like my own personal journey is like connecting with my womb. And I always seem to end up talking to women about periods anyway. So it feels like maybe I'm supposed to like just
make it a better experience.
Yeah. In the sense of like, just like, why is multiple women, but and it's also a thing of, I think that periods have just not been, they've not been honored. So they have been miserable when we're like living in a world that doesn't honor that natural flow and state of woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so of course, like every woman's going to be like miserable. To me before, I never hated my period. It was just annoying in the sense of like, oh, this just gross and makes a mess, or just, just whatever, just move on with it. It's not a big deal. You just do it and then you throw it away or whatever, dispose. It's so not sacred. That is so just not how I treat my flow at all. I treat mine very, very sacred. And yeah, just makes my fingers tingle because I'm just like, it's just a really special part of being a woman. And
I love hearing you talk about it, because you really do make the period sound so much nicer and so much better than what I've experienced. I mean, so my experience with my period, I couldn't even tell my mom when I got my period, because there was this
so much shame.
It was, well, and it wasn't even that, but I didn't have, like, nobody had there wasn't a connection with me for some to feel safe to be able to talk about that. So it really was kind of this thing, like, when I was married and I would get my period, or when I'd start meeting a guy or like dating a guy, get my period, I'm like, sorry, it's that time of the month.
Yeah, it's just an assumed downer.
Yeah. And it's like always something that just kind of got in the way of everything. So listening, and it's so funny because even the first time that I heard you talking about it, and I think that I was one of the people that you outwardly really started talking about it with.
You were, because I was just like, hey, I'm very like, I want to free women of this.
And I love that. I mean, let's do it. Like I would love to free women of everything that restricted us from the flow, the divine feminine flow that we were given in our birthright, like to have that. So it's really, it's nice. It's, what's the word that I'm comforting, I guess.
Yeah. Well, because as I say, it's just our nature. It's our nature. And then we can just like, there is comfort in it. Come on. And I'm a Cancer sun. Like I would like to make everybody feel comfortable. I'm like, please love yourself, honor yourself. Like we've got this, guys, like, and I just feel a lot anyway. So I can just like, I can feel everybody,
Yeah. It's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I think that's why it's like nice to create for people as well. Cause I'm like, so it's a lot of custom work, and it feels like for the most part, like, it's just like repeat. It's like I am your jeweler. You know what I mean? Like I will take care of you. And like, because I do see it as like energetic exchanges first off, and then like what self-love tool. I see my jewelry as self-love tools. Like what energy are you wanting to attune to? You know, like I will make with intention for you, and this is the right stone for you. And
yeah, it's pretty amazing too, the kind of stuff that she comes up with. It's very, very creative. I was going to ask you a question and then I lost my train of thought. So instead, I want to talk because we've both been, oh, I lost you again.
Somebody else called me. I don't know why I'm so popular tonight.
That's awesome. It's because you're on the phone. That's why.
Literally. Like,
so,
what?
Well, and we both have been in this emotion in the last couple of weeks. So that's why I want to talk about it, because it's very widespread right now. I want to talk about the anger that's going on in the world, because I mean, and the funny thing is like, I know that I needed to release a lot of my own anger, and I did that through feeling other people's anger. So yeah, I wanted to talk with you about that as well.
I think that at the moment we're just like, so what I was like telling you is like, you could feel like an anxiety in the air. It feels like a pressure before there's going to be a burst and blast off into like this like space of new growth, because it is a new year anyway. So like, it's obviously a continuation of last year, but you know, there's still the new energy aspect. And then we're going to be getting into Aries season, another new beginning. And then we're going to be getting into another cardinal season. You know, there's just like new beginnings on new beginnings. So we're just in that, like, what feels like to me, okay, all these seeds we planted, all this like growth we've been working on, what inside is like holding it back from like fully bursting through and going, oh, okay, we have to have like hair fine comb, you know, through whatever's in the subconscious still is reacting, versus like fully integrated and able to like respond from the heart, which is what we're wanting the world to evolve to, because we've been so, you know, yang and controlling, even the mental controllingness of everything, you know, and we're moving into more heart-centered connection, not the just like, not only the,
and there's a lot of walls being broken down, like energetic walls,
walls being broken down
in big ways. And because we have to get to that heart center, and it's so funny how hard the armor can be.
We've been having to protect ourselves, you know, we've been having to protect ourselves from so much. And like it's just been
it's really interesting, because I know that you have that fight or flight, the survival mode instinct. Like we've been healing that together for a couple of years now as well, that whole fight or flight thing.
Well, and I think that's just that like complex PTSD would be like the medical really it's just the like nervous system, or like needs to get out of those like patterns of like, no, you're safe now, like you really are safe now. It's not, and it's so hard to like break free from when you've been through like severe circumstances. And it does not matter when that happened. It could have been, you know, even when you don't remember like that. It can go so deep for people when it comes
sometimes
to
I get little,
for all of us.
Sometimes I get little signs from the universe of like, right now I'm healing the year 1994, because that year keeps on popping up. Like it came out on a quarter. And then a friend of mine that I've known for almost 30 years sent a picture of me from when I was in dance team in 1994. And I was like, wow. So I guess that's the girl that I'm healing this right now. That's
so on
one
point.
that I'm focusing on. So it's really, it's so interesting to, with all of that.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much everybody who's like alive right now should not feel bad if they feel like they're like, have been emotionally like pressurized and feel like, why is like this? And it's like, you know, we're collective, we're all healing, but the more that like we all transmute our feelings for ourselves, it does ripple out, and we can commit. And I was going to also say, I like was going to say, and then I forgot, and now we're back. The mental is also being rebalanced because like what we were mentally doing wasn't even healthy, you
Oh
know?
no. And
So it's
I've
like the heart
recognized,
and
yeah,
mental
for sure.
balance with
Yeah.
which we want that authentic heart space connections. And we also like the mental, I feel like is more for ourselves so that we don't have like be tortured by like unhealthy thought patterns and just, you know what I mean? Like like having thoughts that are like just so not serving
The
you
narrative
because like,
that, yeah, we're having to change the narrative in a really
mm-hmm,
big way, in a really
exactly.
big way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard because, you know, we've all been through so much. It's so much to like validate and heal through because it's like, you know, the little girl inside you doesn't care that you're this age now.
No
They're
way. She
still that
doesn't care at
age.
all. She still is back in
She's
that
still in there
place.
waiting for you. Like
Mhm.
she's still in there like, hey, been
Yeah.
trying to get your attention.
Don't forget
You know, all
about
those triggers,
me. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like, that's why even just, yeah, yeah, it just goes deep because I could just go so many different ways with everything, you know me.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because it's also playing out in the kids and,
I
the,
was just thinking that, oh
yeah.
my God, because I was just thinking, then
Yeah.
you get into the motherhood and then the
Yeah.
learning, because then you are essentially keeping up with your child's growth because they're going to be reflecting whatever, where you were at that age. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they are just like the biggest teachers.
They
And
really
like
are.
you get to do so much healing, like by just like seeing patterns and how like, oh, okay, like,
Yeah.
you know, I get to like be aware because we have
Yeah.
more conscious awareness now than like our parents had back then.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and I mean,
that's just how evolution works.
yeah, when
So we
I
get to
talk, yeah, my kids got two
grow.
different moms basically, because my older boys, I wasn't conscious and aware and awake with my two older boys.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack, I am. And
Right.
so when they were Jack's 8, when they were young, my youngest is 8, right? So when they were young, they got the stressed out working for the corporate company, like bringing her laptop home just to make sure that she got everything done, from that day, like whatever, right? Like I was stressed out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as they became teenagers, and then I did go through my awakening, I had to, there was already damage done. There was already, I could already see some of the traumas that they were put through because of the divorces and or that divorce and
Because you know,
like
it just
that.
gives
And
them
yeah,
their
all of the
own
things.
abandonment things and their
Oh
own,
yeah.
you know, just things where it's like, okay, well, now how do we get to
And how
heal through this?
angry I was, because I was not a happy person back then at all by any means.
Oh,
So
I
yeah.
get that. And
Yeah.
I was talking to my mom about that too, because like my brother, he's 21, and I'm like, oh my God, he's just like,
I can't believe he's 21.
oh wait, no, he's 20. God, I cannot rush that. He
Oh,
turned 21 this year.
this
Don't
year.
rush that, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Oh, so soon. But yeah, I'm just time jumping in my brain. But I'm like, gosh, he's just, you know, it's just such different journeys. But you know, I'm 11 years older than him, and I was telling my mom, I was like, you know, it really is different experiences for based on kids on like birth order, as well as far as just like what age were your parents when they had you, where were they in their journeys and their learning, you know what I mean?
Huge, because I was two different moms, totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's not that was like, I can't say that was a good or bad thing, because my boys signed up for me being the mom that they wanted me to be for them, or
It's
they
where the
needed.
awareness was at
Yeah.
that time anyways. Like it
Right.
can't be you know, that's why it's like,
yeah, that was something that I really had to learn not to beat myself up over. So any mom out there that becomes aware while you're a mom, you can't beat yourself up for being one particular mom before, because you didn't know you were still.
You can't beat yourself up for having like mistakes right in this moment.
Yeah.
Or getting burnt out, or not taking care of yourself. So then you end up like, frazzled mom. You know, we have to like, I really think like as far as just the mother nurturing it, like just, let mothers know they're not alone in like this healing journey we're all doing, like for our children.
Because it really does feel alone, even though we're told that we're not alone. It still feels like it very much.
When I was talking to my like a coworker, and she was just like, if you think you're a bad mom, that means you're probably not, because they care so much. One, and every mom, like she was saying like a general statement about like, you know, if a woman thinks she's a bit like, it's like, no, she's like, every mother feels like the worst mom, like at certain times. And like children just go through things, and you go through things. And I mean, look at the world. We can't deny that we're in just like crazy collective transformative times where like, you know, we've all been raised in, you know, just a kind of traumatized world, which is why I think being like trauma informed is so important, which is basically people understanding the same traumas don't affect people the same. And we really do have to like, but that's that oneness where we like can really honor people's journeys and be like, this is real for them. This is real for them. And, but then that compassion melds us all into integration where like people don't feel alone. Mothers don't sit at home feeling like, oh my God, I'm just the worst mom ever because I just like had a meltdown. And it's like, listen, baby girl, you've been like doing all this for like weeks and weeks. And now like, you know, and then what do? Okay, maybe you commit to taking better care of yourself so that like these things don't, you know, like, because we have to then when we want to change things, like what can we do? Like,
and it really is the truth. Like you have to ask yourself what you can do for yourself. Like we go to spiritual gurus and we go to teachers and we get really great ideas and we get the advice that we need to get, but at the end of the day, they can't do it for you. Like you have to be willing to show up for yourself. And that's hard for a lot of moms to do when they don't, the self-worth is, you know, and that's what the world needs to work on. We need to work on not only raising all women back up, you know, at one time women were extremely respected. I know my ancestral lineage, they were very respected, you know, with the Native American. And it's difficult, I think, sometimes for me to be able to like witness even still, like we see the, how women are still not treated in the same kind of respect that men are. So yeah, it's just one of those, it's frustrating. You know, you want to be able to see that change in your lifetime. And I even feel like very much the feminism movement, like that happened in the 70s. I think that the intention behind it was really, really good, but I think that it actually damaged women a lot.
Well, because we know there was like a shadow aspect of it, which is like, hey, this change came from the anger. Because it was like, this is from the anger we have at men. This is from the like, now we got to do your job, basically. Like we're going to be in, still not be treated the same as a man, but going to do your job anyways. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's why, of course. That's human rights. We should be, unfortunately, we're not evolved past that.
I know.
But that's where we're at. And that's why we have to be having conversations that are honest and letting people know they're not alone in their darkest moments, whatever transition they're going through, whatever you're feeling. You're a bad mom, you're a bad dad, you're a bad friend. I don't know. You know, there's just so much shaming that we do internally.
So
you know,
much
where you're like, I'm just failing at everything.
But where do we get that from? We get that from
the program.
Hear that from the outside, the shaming. And the reason, you know, why are we shaming everybody? Why are we shaming each other so much?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, let's just get passion back in. Like, but it starts with self ultimately, because we are so much more. Then on the other flip side, we're like compassionate to other people, being like, you're doing amazing, blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, your internal dialogue is like, oh, you could be doing way better. You know better. You know, it's like, okay. So it's such that like self connection, the authentic connection with self. And
I still see like there's just so much anger that I see in younger generations.
Oh God, yeah. No, like, we're like so knee deep in like all these like new bursts. It's like, and it's new levels, because it's like, oh, we heal new levels. And then of course, then the collective comes new levels, but it's like, look at what's going on collectively where like, I mean, come on, we can't pretend you know, that's with everything.
Nobody's okay. Nobody's okay.
like, come on, the world is in such like, limbo of so many things. You can just tell it's obvious people are not working their jobs. Like there's so many things, you know, where it's like, oh, sorry, there's employment short, there's coin shortage, there's all this whatever, you know what I mean? Like okay, we know that we're purging through some stuff, we know that like it's tough being a human at these times. So like I said, that's that like realness where it's like can alleviate and lift. And I was just getting the message today, just like, because I definitely tend to like cocoon and very much like don't
shut yourself down in the shell and like
not, my cancer shell comes out, you know, and I really
like you
self-isolate.
You're not like in like watching the news or any of that.
Oh, I never do that anyways, never ever.
Yeah.
So I'm already, you already know I'm in my own world with like coming in. I can pop my head in my shell. Oh, we're in here. Cool. Get nice and comfy. That's my thing. And so, now I don't even remember where I was going with that, but,
oh yeah, you were in you get in your,
oh yeah. So I was like very in my world, but I was like, oh my gosh, no, like on a soul level, I need to be connecting with, you know, making sure I can, because I feel like, remember even me and you, like we went through our, like where we both kind of like, I think we were just going through a lot of healing. And like, I felt like I hadn't even, because we'll text once in a while, which obviously we have no pressure on when we talk and when we don't, but I'm just saying it was just kind of like a period where I think a lot of people went into kind of
hermit mode.
Right. Yeah. And now I just felt like, well, the connection is what heals. It heals hearts. And if somebody listens to this and it's like, oh dang, like I feel good, you know, like it just, that connection spreads.
Well, and the fact that we've all been forced into isolation, and even more so like with, you know, I have kept myself isolated for years anyways. Like I would rather meet people who are on the same vibration as me and not have to have a whole bunch of people around me all the time. Like that's
right.
Doesn't sound
well,
fun
that's
to me
too, because I can connect with my girls over the whatever, and I know I'm not alone. You know what I mean? So that like physical needing of all the time, you know, and I have my partner, I have my son, I have you know, I just don't ever feel lonely, especially as an Aries moon. You know what I mean? In the fifth house.
You're always, you're definitely
self-entertained. You know what I mean?
You are very self-entertained.
but it does though, where I'm like, you know, no, it's good for me too, to like, you know, because like that's also what I'm comfortable, you know what I mean? Like when I'm like, no,
coming out of your comfort zone, it's good for you to connect with the outside world.
Yeah, and it's good for me, period. And but then to do something like this like to be like, yes, okay,
and I just feel like my Virgo my Virgo just wouldn't let me, like I have to be in the real world sometimes. I have to be like feeling that, you know, being like in with not the real world, because that's the Matrix isn't the actual real world, but the reality that we've built, that outside
right. You're analyzing it though as an earth sign. And I mean, to me, the only reason I'm like, oh, I really truly do feel it on such a like in my body, and I will like pick up on like themes. And like I even told a soul sister like a couple weeks ago, being like, I'm just really picking up on like the theme of like resentment and anger. And she was just like, yeah, but it's like we all know. It's like, I don't know, I just like I need to like not feel everything. So it's like,
oh yeah, I get that. That's why I keep myself in the isolation. Well, and I'll pop my head out and turn the news on for like a morning or something just to get caught up in whatever bullshit that people are doing. But I feel like I'm doing that because I need to be a step ahead. Like I need to know what's going on. Like I don't want to be surprised by anything that's going on in the matrix in the world around me. Otherwise
I feel like I always just find out because they make sure that you find out. So it just ends up being on Twitter or on something, and I'll be like, oh, okay. Like I'll catch like a big, you know, so I mean, you're very right in the sense of like getting the actual stories. Like it's, you put a lot together anyway. And you're like, oh, that's what they're doing now. I think that's how I always felt, you know?
Like, well, and that's exactly that's kind of what I'm saying is like, I sort of feel like I need to see what the other side is doing sometimes. Like, it's not it's not because I think it's fun. I mean, because I'll get to a certain point watching it. I'm like, okay, I'm done now. That's ridiculous.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's just it's just a strategy. I don't know. Maybe that's something from a past life, like a war strategy that I have to like know what
Yeah,
the
it's
other
pretty
side
calculated.
is.
I'm just like, the people, they're just going through
Yeah.
things as usual. Like,
Yeah. People are just doing their stuff.
But whenever I hear of like just what kind of the main stories are, I like will be like, yeah, they're definitely like, look at the court trial just happened.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think was being triggered then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Collectively, that's huge. I
Absolutely.
mean, these are ripples
Well, I mean,
of
yeah.
awareness, you know what I mean? Because people like really been blissfully unaware of like that even anything, oh, that, you know what I mean? And then
something like that could happen. I can't believe that something like that could happen.
Then they start to question, you know, where's things like, I don't know, just playing out. I don't know. I just kind of zoned out there, but I'm just like, because I'm kind of zoning out into like, what would somebody's brain who's like, they are completely unaware, they'd be like, oh, wow, like that's going on. Like they'd just be kind of like a space shocked. You know what I mean? Like
that happens to me sometimes too. Like I'll turn on the news and hear something and I'm like, oh, wow, that's weird. That's interesting that's happening. But yeah, wow. People love you tonight so much.
No, that was my battery saying 20%.
Oh. That's hilarious. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's the sign that we should wrap it up. But I really appreciate you having this very real conscious talk with me, because there's we can't ever really do this. And I mean, I know that I say it all the time, but you really are an amazing person. Everything that you've been through and like that, just that journey alone, like taking everything else out of it. But that journey alone, we could talk about so many other things that, you know, that you've been through. But
oh God, I know. Cause see, yeah, like my accident was like my awakening, but like, I mean, there's been so much after that. Even was just then, like, way more on like soul, like, which I felt like that was like my activation to like duty to be me, you know, it did push me to a more like,
but you've been on this journey for like 10 years now. I mean, I've been on this journey for about 5 years. So, I mean, I've only got only halfway there, but you've been on this journey for a really long time. And yeah, so, I mean, just like the strength that you have is kind of, I'm in awe of it sometimes. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing your story. And I'm looking forward to being able to talk more about more stories and more things. I'm sure that we probably could come up with a conversation. I know, because I was like, there's so much to talk about. There's so much that can gone deeper on, but because I mean, you and I both have been in abusive relationships. You know, we could talk about that. That day is long too. Well, and I think just like that is its own type of spiritual awakening. It really is, because you are like, you are so forced to look at your, not just the shadow and isn't something that, but just like what led you there, where it's like, well, it's a different type of awakening. No, it's totally a different type of awakening. It's like, oh my God. And to me, honestly, it was weird because that experience made me more awake to like the outer world. Do you know what I mean? Like I was seeing the patterns like over there where I was like, oh my God, like this power and control system is deeper than, you know, like this has been just like a thing as well. And then like how we were talking about with women though, I mean, I did become a domestic violence advocate. So that's why it's like, yeah, I can talk about that. Like, so I got trained. I did my research on what was legal, how there was like the rule of thumb law where like women could beat an unruly wife. You know what I mean? This is like great grandparent shit at our point. You know what I mean? This is not that long ago that this is where we were. I mean, come on, think of child slavery, you know, and then stuff's going on this. I mean, people would have 13 kids in one family just so they could work the family business. Like people were having just, and it wasn't that long ago. It was literally like your great grandparents. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like this is not like, so of course we need to be, you know, this is like a nice message to close out on too, because
abuse has affected every single, in some way, shape, or just because of the world we've been born. You know,
Absolutely.
like I am not victimizing us in any way, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, sometimes people do need to like not feel alone in some stuff. And so it's you go back and forth. You go from whatever you're feeling. But the thing is, it's just like have compassion for yourself if you're ever feeling things that are just too much and you're like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling that way. It's like, look at this world we're transmuting. Be easy on yourself all the time.
And make sure that you're processing. Like when we try to push our emotions away like that, we're just really not being honest with ourselves, and it's just going to come back again. Like
in some way, shape, or form, it's not going to go until you learn. Unfortunately, you can't bypass a lesson. It doesn't work.
Never. Well, I love you dearly. I always have Steph's Etsy shop in every single one of my videos because I'm always wearing her jewelry.
She's always wearing it.
So if you can never find Steph's Etsy shop, but you're seeing that, just look at one of my videos and pop down in the description box. But I will also have it under this one, and I will have it on all of the other podcast ones available as well. So and like I'm always telling her she needs to raise her prices. So before she does, make sure you go to her shop and load up on all of the crystals that you can get.
I know. I'm really like, I just,
But she even has her jewelry, and we didn't even get to talk about this. She even has her jewelry in a boutique now, like
in an artisan market,
actually in a store with 4 walls. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. I'm in awe.
There really was so much we wanted to talk about. Like,
yeah, there really was. And we just kind of like went off on the.
I knew we would though. I was like, I felt the Aquarius moon analyzing, the Pisces moon is going to flow.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, we'll just have to do another one.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love you. Thank you all for joining us for another talk on the Love Soul Movement, and good night.